We all knew that Larry Hagman was a great actor before and after he showed up on I Dream of Jeannie in Dallas, but this appearance he had on the Night Gallery in its first season, actually the first episode, in a segment called The Housekeeper, kind of made a miscast. Now, the plot was tremendous, but the presentation and the, the denouement was kind of diminished because Hagman was also wearing a beard and it didn't suit him. So I think it's a good episode, but maybe with somebody else like Dick Van Dyke or Orson Bean would have done it. Now, in this one, it's written by Douglas Hayes, who actually was using the pseudonym Matthew Howard because he didn't want to take too much credit after writing and directing the episode's classic opening segment, The Dead Man. Now, again, John Meredith Lucas directed this one, with Larry Hagman as Cedric Acton, Jeanette Nolan, one of the greatest actresses of her generation, as Miss Waddle, Susie Parker as Carlotta Acton, and Kathleen Cordell as Miss Beamish. Now, in this second segment of the first episode of the first season, it has comic overtones, but a little bit of evil overtones too. The story begins with Cedric at an employment agency seeking an old housekeeper with a good heart. Now, Miss Waddle, played by Nolan, would appear again in Night Gallery in the Great When Aunt Ada Came to Stay. Anything from early 30s to the 70s, being middle-aged, a very good character actor. And we all remember her playing that witch in that 1 hour Twilight Zone episode that basically made her a household name. Now, in more job interview banner that would later be outlawed, Acton asked her if she has friends. No. References no again. He asked her when she sees young, attractive women, do you ask why her, not me? She sheepishly admits that she has, but it don't change the price of potatoes. A salt of the earth reply that delights him. Now, Acton takes Miss Waddle out to dinner in a fancy restaurant, but while there, he finds out his beautiful young wife is having dinner with a man who is obviously romantically interested in her. Acton says that his wife is selfish and ungrateful. We also find out and covered quite well in David Jewell's famous blog on Night Gallery. She also is worth, get this, $7 million. He asks Miss Waddle what she would give to change places with his wife. He wants her goodness, at least at which he has the day-in during a brief and no longer legal job interview in his wife's attractive body. Later, he proposes a personality transplant where she would inhabit the young, beautiful woman's body and be in line for half the $7 million should things not work out as his wife. He injects Miss Waddle with a serum and brings in a frog to his wife to complete the act. The transformation is successful. Afterwards, Miss Waddle, in his wife's body, is not interested in Acton's advances, but 3 days later she emerges from her room and says that she's turning in her notice and wants the full $7 million. Acton brings out the frog again. She asks, in a half-comedic, half-sad comment, "Oh dear, how many times?" To which Acton replies, "Until we get it right." Now, some of the scenes have dark humor, but the amusement is put off quite a bit by, again, Larry Hagman with a beard. We know him as JR as pure evil, but this is kind of half comedic, half evil. And old Larry Hagman's a very strong actor. According to Jewel and according to myself, the whole ending feels kind of rushed. If it was given a few more minutes to play it out. Now, according to some of the followers of our channel, the syndication package extend this with things were left on the cutting room floor, but some superfluous scenes. Now, but Hagman and Nolan, again, two of the better actors of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, really bring it together. But I really like Jeanette Nolan. Like, she played everything back in the day. She played a nun on the Waltons, again, played that witch, and a kind of a throwback. The writer and creator of the Waltons did a Twilight Zone episode where she was playing kind of a throwback or an original pilot version of the grandma of the Waltons. And it was quite interesting to see. But Jeanette Nolan has always been one of my favorites because Aunt Ada came to stay. I guess she showed up at the show. She had to play a witch, and she already had teeth that were filed down to her perfect for her, and the director of the episode saying, this is a true professional. She knows what the character can do even before you ask her what to do. I'll give this 3 stars out of 4, but compared to the Dead Man, which is it's a 4-star episode, because every time I see a headstone, I think of the Dead Man. I don't want to give away the episode, but you'll catch on for those who have seen the episode. Larry Hagman, again, very underrated actor. He could do everything because only he could play JR. John Forsythe obviously played the patriarch in Dynasty, but he was never evil. But what Larry Hagman did with JR, it was the same plot in every year, and the show was on for more than a decade. Even with TV movies, and even when he was dead with the revival of Dallas, he was the best actor on the show. He was dead in real life. He was still the best presence on the show. That's how good he was. But I think it was on Dream of Jeannie for like a half decade, so that we know he could do comedy. So this is kind of a combination of some of the evilness of JR and some of the comic overtones of his I Dream of Jeannie character. So again, ladies and gentlemen, we're doing all this Halloween week Night Gallery podcast. I hope you enjoy it. Please keep your requests coming. The only thing stops me with this podcast and this Fullmore program I use, it has some trouble with the audio, so we're sorting out certain kinks in recent days. Hope you enjoy it. And don't forget, we have an archive of more than 50 Night Gallery reviews on the channel. Please check them out and give us a like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for listening, and again, happy All Saints Day throughout North America to all our followers. Bye.